What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Mel, a travel blogger based in London, and in this video I'm sharing a travel guide to my top most epic things to do in Dalaman, Turkey. So keep watching. So where exactly is Dalaman? Dalaman is a district in the southwestern coast of Turkey in Muğla. What the tourism board and the region have done is work super hard to dispel the image of Dalaman and YOK&YOK as some sort of party destination and reinforce to people that it is actually a place for rest, relaxation, adventure, and getting back into nature. I had such fantastic experiences in Dalaman over the week, touring historical ruins, experiencing delicious Turkish food, with paragliding over the Blue Lagoon being one of my absolute favorites. Wherever you're going on a solo trip or having a friend and family adventure, all the experiences I'm about to share with you are accessible to everyone. I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsors of this trip, Jet2 and Dalaman Airport, who arranged this amazing stay for me as part of a press trip. But as always, all of my opinions remain honest and completely my own. So here are my top recommendations for things to do in 1 week in Dalaman, Turkey. P.S. Apologies in advance for my pronunciations. The first thing I recommend doing is going island hopping in YOK&YOK. We spent an entire day island hopping by a yacht in YOK&YOK, which is also known as the 12 Islands. We were especially lucky with our timing because the weather was perfect. It was a balmy 30 degrees Celsius with a refreshing breeze, and we virtually had the islands to ourselves. We set sail from Fethiye Port around 11 AM with all these different hues of blues from the sky and the sea surrounding us. Each island in YOK&YOK reminded me of the stony, sun-bleached beaches you get in Croatia. Every island was full of trees, crystal clear turquoise waters lapping onto each shore, and it was so refreshing just jumping in with carefree abandon and splashing around in that cold, cold water. Our captain prepared traditional Turkish salad and meze as sides, and we had fresh grilled sardines, all enjoyed with a crisp white wine, which was perfection. So if you want that feeling of pure holiday mode and relaxation, this island hopping trip in YOK&YOK is the one. Next up, I recommend paragliding over YOK&YOK Beach. This one is for the wild childs and the adventurous kids out there. Jumping off Babadag Mountain and paragliding over the Blue Lagoon is a kind of crazy thing that one always ends up doing in another country. The reality of what I was about to do, i.e. launch myself into the sky with nothing but a parachute to save me, didn't really dawn on me until halfway up the mountain and the trees and the city had turned into specks of dust. My legs were trembling as we stood on the concrete slope because one sneeze and I'd tumble to my demise. But I stayed calm, focused on everything that my paragliding instructor Hakan told me to do. And next thing I knew, we were running down the slope, the wind caught my parachute, and suddenly we were gliding in the air over the Blue Lagoon. It was unbelievably thrilling and it was unbelievably beautiful. I realized that paragliding was one of the greatest things I've ever had the chance of doing, and I would happily do it again, and I would wholeheartedly recommend that you do it too. Terrifying, but so rewarding. And there are even kids as young as 3 years old doing it, which is amazing. Thumbs up for these daredevil kids. Next up, I absolutely recommend visiting a thermal mud spa. A few days into the trip, we visited the thermal mud spa Dalyan Peloid. What a hoot. You smother yourself in natural rose oil infused mud from the mud baths, which you scrape up from the ground, and then basically bake in the sun until you look like a human reptile. After you rinse off the mud, you're meant to soak in the mineral sulfur pool for about 15 minutes. The mud is supposed to have healing properties, and allegedly, Cleopatra herself took multiple trips to Dalaman just to get her mud fix. Obviously, I can't verify this as Cleopatra's no longer around, but I do feel like this anecdote helped me get into the mindset of an ancient queen. So I really recommend doing the mud bath experience because it's hilarious, so experiential, so much fun, and you'll leave with super soft, smooth skin. I also recommend taking a trip to a Turkish hammam spa, probably at the very start of your holiday. Get pampered and get your skin prepped, ready and exfoliated for a wonderful week at the beach. Next, I recommend doing a Dalyan Delta river cruise. We spent a scorching afternoon cruising along the blue-green Dalyan Delta River. This winding body of water is steeped in natural beauty, mythology, and apparently turtles. We spotted a huge turtle and its babies swimming along beside us on the water's surface. Cue us getting super excited and quoting Finding Nemo. Then, towards the end, we spotted these ancient Lycian cliff tombs embedded high in the mountain rock face. And those beautiful sculptures reminded me of Petra in Jordan. I got a little thrill of historical wonder when the first tomb appeared in front of us. Sitting at the top of the boat provided a 360-degree panorama of the Dalian Delta landscape and a great vantage point for turtle spotting in the water. Our boat sailed through the meandering delta with mountains and reeds blossoming before us, and I felt relaxed, content, and a bit more knowledgeable about human history. Next, I recommend trying out local food at Fethiye fish market and restaurants. People say that you get to know a place by eating their food, and I could not agree more. So if there's one thing you do in Dalaman, make sure it's trying out the local food. Trying local cuisine and Turkish delights in general is an absolute treat in Dalaman. I'm not talking about the tourist trap restaurants either. I'm talking about the local taverns. We wrapped our first evening with a monumental seafood dinner in Fethiye fish market, where you can choose your catch of the day and have it cooked at restaurants. We had aubergine salad, grilled calamari, and baked mixed fish, fresh fruits, delicious desserts. It all kept on coming. And then we enjoyed a hilariously strong glass of raki. It's very similar to ouzo, and it's not for the faint-hearted. Next up, go and swim in the Blue Lagoon in Ölüdeniz. The Blue Lagoon is a shimmering azure jewel in Ölüdeniz, and it is well worth a visit if you're in Dalaman. In fact, it's a must-do. When we were paragliding, we flew over the Blue Lagoon for about half an hour, and the colour of the water is mesmerising. It is so vividly, Instagrammably blue. There's so many things to do, from simple sunbathing to kayaking to renting paddle boards and splashing around. If you're with a family or friends, you can while away an entire day at this beautiful Blue Lagoon. My next recommendation is, if you fancy getting spooked up by history, is to go and see the abandoned ghost town of YOK&YOK. Ruins of Greek and Turkish houses in YOK&YOK, Dalaman, gave me goosebumps the second we entered this ghost town, which is a village in Fethiye that was abandoned in the 19th century. From the 14th century, Greeks and Turks lived harmoniously side by side in the village. The Greeks called it Levisi, but then came a grim combination of terrible historical events. There was the war, the Ottoman Empire, attempted occupations, and the deportations of Christians. Suddenly, the people of YOK&YOK were uprooted and the area became barren. Then in 1957, a magnitude earthquake came and hit and destroyed most of the buildings. The place never recovered, and now there are over 500 houses deserted and barren on that landscape. Super spooky, but beautiful. I highly recommend going to see these relics in the heart of Dalaman. I found myself wishing I knew more about its background before visiting, so I could really have appreciated the curious energy of the place during the tour. If you're a history buff, I highly recommend it. Next, I recommend chasing waterfalls at Turgut Selalesi. These beautiful waterfalls are absolute stunners, and you can spend a couple of hours splashing around in these beautiful pools. These natural turquoise waterfalls cascade from mountainous layers up high in the rock, and we were really privileged to explore these waterfalls before more tourists came in, so we had it to ourselves. If you're a photographer and you want to come here and swim or take photos, I definitely recommend getting to Selale early, and I also recommend bringing a waterproof GoPro and flip-flops because the water is incredibly deep and quite easy to fall into. Full disclosure, I fell in fully clothed, but luckily I had a GoPro which was waterproof and I was in my swimsuit already, so no worries. Oh, what's up guys? Just a real quick interruption here to announce my brand new travel photo editing course is out now, so go check that out. Back to it. Next, I recommend doing stand-up paddleboarding in Selimiye Port. I highly recommend spending at least a few hours, if not an entire day, swimming and relaxing at Selimiye Port because it is so quiet and peaceful. The water is clear, calm, cool, and it's perfect conditions for swimming or stand-up paddleboarding. The port is extremely accessible just along the road. We had an incredible lunch at Sardunia restaurant, which overlooks the port, and spent our time after lunch in the afternoon just lazing around, splashing around. We rented paddleboards from SUP or SUP, Selimiye Cafe. We took it in turns to paddle around the gorgeous harbour and soaked up every moment. Next, I recommend having lunch and taking a river cruise down the Azmak River in Akyaka. And I can't show you how beautiful this place is without showing you pictures. The water was electric green, yet crystal clear, teeming with wildlife, fish, birds, and ducks nestled underneath the reeds. We had lunch at a gorgeous riverside restaurant with water bubbling at our feet and all around us and baby ducks just swimming to and fro. Then, after lunch, we had a relaxing boat ride all along the Azmak River. I really recommend exploring or at least having lunch by the Azmak River because it's such a beautiful area full of wildlife spotting and photography opportunities. It's also some of the clearest water I've ever seen. So, have you ever been to the Dalaman region before? Leave me a comment below. And if you found this video useful, please do like and subscribe. And if you're looking for more travel inspiration, well, check out this video.